are currently in the last week of the CrossFit Open 2018. For those of you who are on the Renegade program or who are thinking of jumping on, we've created a bit of a structure just to show you what the next few months is going to look like. The last 5 weeks would have exposed a few weaknesses for most of us, definitely shown a lot of strengths and what we've achieved over the last 6 months, but following the last open workout will be a week to rest and to also establish what our training going forward is going to look like. So we want to spend that week reflecting on the open workouts, what our weaknesses actually are. For some of us it might have been gymnastics, for others it might have been structural imbalances in certain movements. It might have been your mindset or the way that you attacked the workouts. It could have been that you weren't as fit or didn't have the lung capacity that you quite wanted at that point of the year. So when you've established what they are, we just really want you to assess what your goals are going to be going forward and then work with us on how we can make your training as best as possible working towards those goals. So we have changed the structure of the program slightly. Callum's going to talk to you a little bit more about what that's going to look like for each of you, and yeah, hopefully it'll be a time for you to keep progressing and really nail those weaknesses that we found over the last 5 weeks.
So we've changed the programming up a wee bit to give you guys a little bit more power in regards to what you guys are doing with your programming, but still give you guys some good structure and good balance to your programming, so you're hitting everything that you need to based on what you found as weakness or what you reflected on in that week that you had off following the open and our deload week. We are having a deload week next week, by the way, guys. It'll be super chill. So programming is going to look like this. We're going to come in accessory work every day. So you'll have a upper piece, a lower piece, a unilateral piece, and a core piece. This is going to get your body warmed up and ready to move through your session. Please don't avoid these guys. They're super important, and most of you will miss them and walk out of the gym when we put them at the end. So we're going to keep in with the theme of sticking it at the start of your programming, so you're nice and warm, and so you're getting in that structural work or your unilateral work as you come in. Then we're going to have another mandatory piece. It'll either be a strength piece, an Olympic lifting piece, or a gymnastics piece, depending on what day it is and what we've got following that. So this one here is an example of a Monday. It's a lower body specific strength work piece. Back squats, we are going to go back to our Texas method for the next little while. I haven't quite decided how long I'm going to do that yet. It'll probably be around 12 weeks with some deloads in there as well. Building to a heavy 5 on a Monday. That could change on a Tuesday. You could come in and it could be some Olympic lifting accessory work, or it could be you could be straight into your gymnastics work, or it could be a run day depending on what the day is. Number 3, guys, is a gymnastics or Olympic lifting option. So you can choose one of these based on your weaknesses. If you struggle with gymnastics work in the open, you can come to your gymnastics piece. We've got an 8-minute EMOM for this day of 4/3 muscle ups with an extra dip on each rep. Okay, a scaled option is some tech work, rings, ring dips, tension swings, low ring turnovers, stuff like that. So you guys getting exposure and volume with your muscle ups. Option 2 is Olympic lifting. Okay, so this day here we've got 4x2 power snatches off the blocks. We'll be bringing a lot more accessory work, so you guys are getting a lot more positional work on your Olympic lifting as well. Or 3x3 snatch pulls at 110% of your 1RM, depending on what that is or where your current lifts are at. So, specific Olympic lifting for option 2 if you struggle with something like the clean in 18.2. Okay, and our last piece is our conditioning piece, guys. So here we've got 3 options for this day. That will change throughout the week. It may be a mandatory piece on a Friday or a Wednesday, depending on how the week looks. Our options here, number 1, monostructural breathing work, 3x2 kilometer rows at 60 to 70% with a 3-minute rest. Okay, we've got a traditional CrossFit piece. Here I've written an example of Helen. And option 3 is a strongman piece, 25 minutes of steady state heavy moving. So that could be 25 minutes of 5 tire flips, 100 meter farmer carry, and a 30 meter yoke walk for 25 minutes. So exposure to some heavy odd object loads and just general physical preparedness work. So that's how a day will look, an example of how a day will look. I'm just going to give you to Megan, and she will write up what a day might look like for her, or talk to you about what a day might look like for her.
Cool. So for me, this is the first time I've been able to structure my own program, so that's pretty cool. I like the fact that I can come in and I know that I have to get my accessory stuff done. That's absolutely mandatory because, like I mentioned before, one of your weaknesses might have been structural imbalance. And this is going to help you with every single thing that you choose afterwards. Okay, so for me, I'm going to come in, I'm going to do my accessory work, I'm going to get my strength work, my Ola work, whatever is in here for mandatory number 2. Cool, I know I have to get through A and B. For C, I might, this is where I'm going to look at my weakness work. For me, I've been able to do a lot of gymnastics throughout the Open due to injury. Olympic lifting's taken a sidestep, so I'm going to continue to work on all my positional stuff. So that's very easy for me. I'm going to go for option 2 here. Cool, so accessory, strength, Olympic lifting for my third piece. Cool, conditioning for me, to be honest, I could pick any of these 3. And I think the standout would have to be monostructural breathing work. Okay, I haven't done a lot of rowing lately, and I know that is, over the past year, that's always been a weakness for me. So I'm going to finish with option 1. Cool, so A, B, C, and D, those are my 4 pieces that I'll work through in one session. What I like about this is that if I'm stuck for time, I might only do 3 pieces, but I know I'm getting my mandatory work done that's absolutely non-negotiable, and I am getting a piece in that I have to absolutely get work done on. So a weakness piece at the end. I know for a lot of you, timing is definitely a restriction or a limiter, and a lot of us only have 1 hour to train or 1.5 hours to train, so being able to get 3 solid pieces in will be great for you guys. But for me, this is a pretty solid day for 4 pieces to get through, and I know I'm covering everything off, so that's pretty cool.
Cool. Okay, so hopefully that gives you guys a little bit of an insight and idea into what's happening programming-wise heading forward. I just wanted to give you guys a little bit more variance in your programming and make sure that you guys were getting a chance to work on the stuff that you needed to over the last 5 weeks.
A question I might ask when I'm looking at this day is if I have weaknesses of both gymnastics and Olympic lifting, do I have the option to kind of go between the 2 depending on what the rest of this looks like? Could I choose gymnastics one day and Olympic lifting the next?
Yeah, absolutely. Pieces are going to change throughout the week though, so there may be a mandatory Olympic lifting day on Tuesday, and Wednesday you might have a mandatory day of just gymnastics. So it's going to change depending on the week. All of it is, at this point, all the programming will be in relation to where we're at in the season. Okay, so we've just finished our sport-specific part of the season, which is the Open, and we're going into a transition and building phase after that. So I will be making sure you guys get a lot of exposure to everything, as well as just your weaknesses at the same time. Okay, so one last thing before we sign off. With the Open being over, a lot of people can look at it in a negative light. Some people drop off programming, some people decide they don't want any structure anymore. Rather than look at it in a negative light, it's a chance for you guys to look at it as a positive. You found some weaknesses in your training, some movement patterns that may need to be corrected, stuff like that. It's a good chance for you guys to set some really good realistic new goals, whether they be competition goals or movement goals or number oriented goals, and really focus on moving forward and progressing through the year rather than getting down on your performance over the last 5 weeks if you've had a rough last 5 weeks. So it's a good chance for you guys to reset, refocus, and treat it like a new beginning to your training and a new season of training for next year or whatever you've got coming up. So like I said, I'm going to make sure you guys have every chance possible of being able to progress further as athletes.
Awesome. Cool. So on that note, guys, if you have any questions on the new structure of the program, or if you've never been on Renegade before and you have some questions about how this is going to work for the next few months, make sure you flick us a message or an email. All our contact details are on renegadeperformance.co.nz. Callum and I are always around to even answer calls, so make sure you let us know if there's anything you're unsure about going forward. We're really excited to work with you on your weaknesses over the next sort of 6 months, so it'll be exciting times for everyone.